Hello and welcome to Soton Anatomy Hub. My name is Charlie and today we'll be taking a look at the cartilage of the larynx. So, where is the larynx and what does it really do? Well, the larynx has two basic functions. Firstly, the larynx enables speech, which is also known as phonation, and this is achieved via modulation of the vocal cords. Secondly, the larynx is also an important valve which prevents unwanted objects such as food, water and foreign bodies entering your respiratory passages at the laryngopharynx. With regards to anatomical location, the laryngopharynx, which is the most inferior section of the pharynx just by the laryngeal inlet, is found in front of vertebrae C4, 5 and 6. Now that we've had a brief overview regarding the function and location of the larynx, let's take a closer look at the laryngeal model so that we can see some of the key cartilaginous and ligamentous structures. As you can see from this model, it's clearly a very complex structure. We're currently looking at the anterior aspect as if we're looking front on at someone's neck. Firstly, let's point out the cricoid cartilage. This is one of the unpaired cartilages of the larynx, meaning that there's only one. It's a complete ring of haline cartilage that resembles the shape of a signet ring. And here we have the largest cartilage of the larynx, the thyroid cartilage. This joins anteriorly to form the laryngeal prominence. This is also known as the Adam's apple and is more prominent in males. Let's also point out the articulation between the superior horn of the thyroid cartilage, also known as the superior cornu, and the greater horn of the hyoid bone. This articulation occurs via the lateral thyroid ligaments. And finally, we have the hyoid bone, which as its name suggests, is a bone and not a cartilage. The hyoid bone has a horseshoe shape and is found at the base of the mandible in front of the third cervical vertebrae. If we now take a side-on look, we can see the inferior horn, or inferior cornu, of the thyroid cartilage articulating with the cricoid cartilage as mentioned earlier. This happens at the cricothyroid joint. This joint is key in adjusting voice pitch by elongating the vocal fold via a muscle called the cricothyroid muscle. When also looking at a lateral view, we can better see one of the most important cartilaginous structures in the larynx, the epiglottis. In the current model, the epiglottis is in the upwards position. The epiglottis will lower and flatten to close off the laryngeal inlet when you swallow, to prevent food or liquid entering your larynx and your respiratory airways. So now let's take a final look posteriorly. Here we can see two very important and previously hidden cartilages called the Arytenoid Cartilages. These are two three-sided pyramids side by side on the cricoid cartilage. The arytenoids are formed of an apex, a base, a muscular process, and a vocal process. The arytenoids articulate with the cricoid cartilage via the cricoarytenoid synovial joints, which enable them to slide and rotate over the cricoid and therefore control the position of your vocal cords. And finally, let's also point out the superior cornu of the thyroid from this posterior view. As you can see, it extends upwards via the lateral thyroid ligaments to the posterior hyoid bone. A small cartilaginous nodule is frequently found within the lateral thyroid ligaments, and these ligaments form the posterior border of the thyrohyoid membrane. Not shown on this model, but equally as important, are the muscles of the larynx. The laryngeal muscles can be categorized as extrinsic or intrinsic, and many of the intrinsic muscles act to relax, stretch, or tense the vocal ligaments, enabling us to change the tone and pitch of our voices. So hopefully now you have an understanding of the key cartilaginous structures of the larynx, as well as how to identify them and what they do.